Hey everybody, Hamster Sales here with another Starcraft 2 commentary. Today we've got a PvT on Shattered Temple. It's between this guy here, Syska, the red Protoss, and Hyperiok, the blue Terran. East-West Protoss Terran. Let's get it on, it's going to be fun. This is from the Bronze and Silver Leagues, folks. One of these people are Bronze and one is Silver, I believe, if I remember from the email correctly. So this should be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be maybe the rare case where I can give some definitive advice to both players, because I am a couple leagues higher, and likely that means I've played more games and should know a little bit better how to play this game. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I think this is my first bronze or silver replay, so we're going to see how these guys make it happen. No problem droning up, probing up, and getting their ICVs here. Not very familiar with this matchup at all, much like TvT. I have no idea what's going on in PvT because there's no Zerg units to watch, so normally I don't watch it, but I will learn from watching these replays, people, what is good to do in PvT. I do actually catch the very, very rare PvT game on streams and YouTube channels, but I don't usually watch for very long. I really just try to keep focused on my Zerg play, but since I'm doing commentary, since people are kind enough to send me replays, I will cast anything, any league, any race matchup. PvT is still very foreign to me, but should be fun. I know they're going to nerf Blink Stalkers, and I heard that was, or at least the time it takes to research Blink, I hear they're nerfing that by about 40 seconds, which is pretty significant, and I heard that was primarily a PvT nerf, so I suppose Blink Stalkers could be good in PvT. Blink onto a siege line or something like that, I don't know. Maybe Terran just have trouble dealing with Blink Stalker harass. But both players getting a scout off on their opponent, so this is good. I don't always scout this early myself, so good for these guys. Getting that done. Hyperiok, the blue Terran, is not really chosen his path yet, just still on a single barracks, though he does have the orbital and the gas. So what does this tell us? He could be going for a factory. He could be going for marauders, which would be great in PvT, I assume. Yep, immediately throws the tech lab down after killing the scouting probe, so that was very intelligent. Killing the scouting probe first before throwing down his tech lab. No doubt for marauders. Don't see a factory started yet, and yeah, he's getting a second barracks, so that first tech lab gonna be for marauders. Great against zealots once you get the concussive shells upgrade, even though they don't do bonus damage, and great against stalkers because they do bonus damage. So gonna be a great unit. Protoss not having to wall off, an unfamiliar sight for me, but in PvT the only thing you really have to be scared of are Hellions, and maybe not the greatest unit, really only effective against zealots and for worker harass. Probably much easier for Protoss to defend Hellions, I imagine, than it is for Zerg. But yeah, regardless, we're moving in, getting warp gate technology for Syska here. And this really doesn't look much different than my games, platinum, diamond level. I'm expecting a promotion into diamond pretty soon. Actually, by the way, it's a little bit of news. I am playing a lot of diamond players, winning a lot of games, so hopefully I will get into diamond. I don't know if I'll make a video to celebrate or something, but yeah, no, these guys, keeping on top of their macro as far as I can tell. Maybe it's just me foreign to both races, and still relatively new and not the greatest at commentating, but yeah, it looks like they're moving along very nicely. Stim on the way for the Terran. Stim a great upgrade, of course, as I bring my vast wealth of Terran knowledge to the forefront here. Yeah, Stim Marauders going to be great against Protoss, I would imagine. Syska getting his third gateway and a Twilight Council, so 3-gate Blink Stalkers is a fairly common build for Protoss, I happen to know. So he is going for that Blink. That little bit of foreshadowing of mine paid off, it turns out. Haven't mentioned who brought this replay to me. I'm not going to spoil that. I do know who sent it to me this time, as the character name I think was the same as the email, something like that. I don't know. I just know. I just loaded up this replay, just downloaded it from Gmail, so I know who sent this to me and likely who won, but not going to spoil it for you folks. Looks like we have another gateway going down, 4th gateway. You can definitely do support 4 gates off of one base. as we all know too well in every matchup against Protoss. 4-gate, a very common build. 4 gates in a robo facility, probably not going to be able to support that off of one base, so that may be a sign that he is going to expand soon, or maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he just wants that robo facility for an observer or something like that. But yeah, when I say support, it means he's not going to be able to constantly produce units, and yeah, he is getting a observer first and observer first. This is going to be holding a watchtower here with the Zealot, I imagine. Yep, chilling at the watchtower there with the Zealot. Probably not the best unit to hold a watchtower with in PvT, because probably want a Stalker, although if the Stalker gets hit with a concussive shell, he's going to die. Do these Marauders have concussive shells? They do, and Stim, a potent combination indeed. No medevacs alongside this, but he does have a pretty menacing force. He's up by 13 supply here, and at the 8-minute mark, he is moving out with 10 Marauders and 11 Marines. Very good unit mix in all matchups, really. Maybe not against Zerg. The Marauder's kind of useless unless you know they have roaches, but I digress. Syska is going to have to hold this with primarily Stalker tech. Did he go for he didn't go for the blink, so I wonder what this Twilight Council was for. He has not yet made any use of it. So that's a bit of a curious move, and he's going to struggle to hold this push, I think. He has one force field, needs to split these forces up with the force field. Not doing so yet. Hyperiok just bullying his way up the ramp. There we go. Pretty nice force field there, splitting off several forces. Hyperiok still doing tons of damage, though. Going to be able to focus down that pylon, completely unpower a gateway at the front, and he has obliterated just about all the Protoss forces. No force fields left, and Hyperiok is just bullying his way in here. This Immortal going to soak up a ton of damage, though, and he will be able to hold this. Immortal's great units against Marauders. They do suffer bonus damage, but that hardened shield of theirs is going to hold off most of that. Another force already made up for Hyperiok, though, and he has to figure he did pretty well there, considering it took reinforcing units for Syska to hold off that push. So he's going to make another attempt there, and he is going to catch an Expo. He's going to force a cancel here at the very least. Might be able to kill it if he's lucky. A quick stim and run in here. He might catch Syska off guard and destroy the Nexus before canceling. Yeah, Syska in quite a bit of trouble here. He's trying to get another pylon up here. Gonna have enough energy for a force field. Yeah, 50 energy for a force field, of course. So he's got another force field. If he splits his force up pretty quickly, he should have been in pretty good shape. But no, he lets the Terran all the way up his ramp, getting some reinforcing Stalkers in here in good time. Nice reaction there, but yeah, taking some more damage, losing a couple Stalkers, and maybe a little too aggressive for Hyperiok there, although he already has another force rally to the front. Will he be able to take out this Immortal? Yes, he does take out the Immortal. That was a huge part of the army for Syska there. Syska pulling a fair amount of resources, so is Hyperiok, so it's going to come down to macro. Can these guys spend their money, get their units out on the field? Neither player supply blocked, so just like to see, yeah, there goes 4 more units being warped in for Syska, and Hyperiok may not be, I don't think he'll be able to kill him with this push, but he's doing good damage. He's killing his pylons, he's killing Stalkers. Yeah, getting very good value, I think, out of his Terran units for the most part. Is able to take out the Immortal in that last push. His gateway remains unpowered. I feel like it's been unpowered and repowered about 3 or 4 times now. Hyperiok might be wise to find a way to maybe increase his production capability. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing, throwing down a couple more barracks. He might want to pull these units back. Excuse me. Throat getting a little dry there. But it looks like he's got a bit of an... No, he doesn't have an econ advantage. But yeah, no, that proving to be a misrally as those forces getting very aggressive. Syska, tired of sitting at the top of his ramp, has decided to push out here and defend his Expo, and was able to catch some misrallied units, so good job there. Hyperiok controlling the watchtower for now, as his additional barracks come down. It's got a factory pumping out Hellions now. Hellions pretty good against Protoss, I have to say. They do good damage to the shields always. Yeah, no, the Hellions pretty good units. They're surprisingly effective against Stalkers in a couple games I've seen. Cost-effective wise, they actually do pretty good in straight up fights with Stalkers. I think if you micro the Stalkers, it's no contest. But if it's just some weird situation where neither player's microing, Hellions do surprisingly well against Stalkers. Both players have about equal forces right now, even though supply count favoring the Protoss right now. He does have a worker lead, so 10 of that supply is dedicated to his economy and not to his army. and the supply count's quickly catching up. Hyperiok has managed to spend that mineral resource surplus he had, most of it going to production facilities. Would like to see his worker count increase, but he does have mules, of course, which are great for minerals. So don't need quite so many SCVs as the other races do to get a decent level of income. And yeah, he's managing to spend that money. Got a primarily infantry force here, and Blue Flame Hellions are going to do great against Zealots, but not too many Zealots in the mix here. So we're going to have to see. I think he upgraded Blue Flame. It looks kind of blue to me. Am I fooling myself? No, he can't have upgraded Blue Flame. That is poor on my part. That flame looks a little blue to me, though. Doesn't it look blue to you? What do you think? Maybe it gets more pronounced when you actually do the upgrade. So I apologize for that. I don't think he has pre-igniter on those Hellions. No Blue Flame for that yet. But both players spending their money wisely. Yeah, we see a few more probes in production here for Syska. He's increased his probe lead to 39 over 22. Does have 2 orbitals though. Her Hyperiok has a second orbital on the way. So he's going to be able to get a lot of income that way. And yeah, pumping out this deadly infantry force. Great unit mix in all matchups, like I said. Marauders do tons of damage, are pretty beefy, and they got that concussive shell, which is great, prevents micro on your opponent's part. A nice slowing effect there. Okay, so yeah, Hyperiok leading with the Hellion. He's going to lose that if he's not careful, but some nice little twitchy micro there. And here comes engagement. Stim going off. Like to see these Marauders move forward so everybody's shooting, but oh man, these concussive shells proving brutal as Syska tries to micro backwards and is severely affected by the slowing of those Marauders. And this Terran force looks like it's going to drive the nail into the coffin. Zealots morphing in. Those are not going to do anything against Marauders. Some nice stutter steps there by Hyperiok. That is very nice micro. Taking very minimal shots as he completely wipes out the reinforcing Zealots. Don't know why I chose Zealots there. I mean, Stalkers do get torn apart by Marauders as we saw in the engagement there, but Zealots can be kited like that. Maybe he doesn't expect his bronze or silver level opponent to be able to micro like that, but Hyperiok's showing some pretty sick moves, man, and took out those Zealots in short order. And Syska trying to reinforce with photon cannons. Those actually take a long time. No, less time than spine crawlers, but they take 40 seconds to morph in, so I don't know if he's going to get those in before the next push. He will get them in before these guys get there, so... Oh no, there here comes the push, able to get some shots at some Stalkers before the cannons come in. He probably will be able to hold this if he continues pushing. Yeah, if Hyperiok keeps pushing, I think Syska will be able to hold. But Hyperiok still some nice micro, managing to engage Stalkers on their own, and the rallying troops are coming to the front here. All but one of the Marauders from the last push alive right now. And Hyperiok going primarily Marauder now. He has several tech labs back home, 3 tech labs and 1 reactor, so he's able to produce quite a few Marauders, 3 per round. Or 4, he must have a 4th tech lab somewhere on a barracks, or I just can't count. Where's that last barracks? This is bugging me. Does he have a proxy barracks somewhere with a tech lab? No. Okay, 3 in production. Maybe I imagined that there were 4 in production a second ago. I don't know. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's 4. Okay. I'm just losing my mind. Pay no attention to me. But yeah, more infantry being constructed here for Hyperiok. Marauder is going to be bringing their concussive shells back to the front in short order. Syska going with a heavy Zealots here, which I don't like about against the Marauders especially. Oh, he does have charge on the Zealots, so never mind. That's a pretty good solution. Although he will be kited once again, Stim coming into effect. But Hyperiok not firing. There he goes, electing to fire on the Zealots. Hellion here in the army for Hyperiok going to be very effective against these Zealots, especially when paired with kiting Marauders. That Zealot has no chance. Syska making it back to his choke with the rest of his forces though. Does have a couple more Marauders back out, and those did so great earlier in the game against these Marauders. Going to prove effective once again here. Would be even better with the upcoming buff to their range in the next patch in 1.4. They will get an additional range. Something Protest players are excited about because it means they won't have to micro their Immortals anymore. They will naturally sit behind the Stalkers and fire from farther away. So that was a little veiled shot I just took at Protest players, but congrats on that buff. Also some Infestor nerfs in there I'm not too excited about, but I'll just have to adjust my play accordingly when that actually happens. Some nerfs to Blue Flame Hellions, so Hyperiok likely not going to like that. once Blue Flame is researched. It does only additional 5 bonus damage versus light units, so Hellions going to be a little less effective at massacring Zerglings and Zealots in mass. And Marines. I hear that changes primarily for TvT, that you Terran people can get a little crazy with your Hellions in TvT. I don't know if that was just idle forum speculation, but regardless, we do have a lot of Immortals here for Syska, which, like I said before, I like. And the choice to go Zealot, now that he has charge, makes a lot of sense. They can get in there, get their hits off on the Marauders. But we're going to have to see if Hyperiok demonstrates effective stim kiting like we saw a little while ago. Was that a mule in the front? A little bit of a Manor mule? I don't know. Hyperiok, yeah, now it's starting to micro, but not really firing as he retreats. There he goes. Re-engages. A lot of charges going off on the Zealots, but Hyperiok able to do tons of damage. He does have a very limited number of sims, though, because there's no medivacs and supporting him here, but man, Syska just losing the bulk of his force. Unsupported Immortals are going to fall to these Marines especially. Syska still may be able to hold, though. He has this defensive grid of cannons. Man, yeah, that was a brutal engagement there, and we are still going, folks. Syska able to repel the forces. Siege tanks now being produced for Hyperiok, so if he can get a pretty sick placement on that siege tank, I feel like he can do tons of damage to these gateway units. Obviously not very effective against the Immortals that proved to not be so immortal minutes ago in that last fight. Man, Hyperiok relentlessly applying pressure, as Terrans so often do. Probably gonna, yeah, I mean, and both these players I've actually neglected to mention have taken third bases, and Hyperiok is going for proxy starports. Could see Banshees out of here, Medivacs out of here, or Vikings. Maybe anticipating a move to Colossus, which is not coming yet. No robotic support bay for Syska. And here we go with that siege positioning, able to siege the high ground. Has a couple of Medivacs for vision of that. And here we go, this infantry force can be menacing with these Medivacs in support this time. Losing the siege tank to Stalker Fire, but the bulk of his Marauders are intact, and they're going to be able to clean up this defending force of Syska unless he... Oh, nice blink there by Syska, getting back to his front. Back to the grid of cannons. Man, these Marauders just doing terrible things, though, to the Protoss force. These Warping Zealots... Oh, that is brutal. Loses about 5 Zealots there because he destroyed the cannon during pylon during warp-in. Great move there. Syska GG's, Hyperiok GG's. That was a great game. I've seen several bronze, silver level games, and this I think was by far the most entertaining I've ever seen. Some great back and forth action at Syska's base. Relentless pressure applied by Hyperiok. Kind of a shame we didn't get to see much of that proxy starports come into play. No quick Banshee flying into the base of Syska, but thanks for sending it in, Hyperiok. It was great to watch. Feel free to send in more. Anybody watching, please feel free to send them in to hamstersalesllc@gmail.com. I love casting these games. Please comment below about the cast today if you get a chance. Upvote if you liked it. And yeah, keep the replays coming. Still got some in my box, but I'm working on the remainder. I think I have like 3 or 4 in queue. So if you send me a replay, it'll get casted in pretty short order. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. Hamster Sales out.